Farming and football are the flavors of this week. Our farmers are on strike in Delhi, and the world is mourning the death of football legend Diego Armando Maradona. Both farmers and Maradona are being praised to the skies. So, how about some balanced thoughts? Warning: truth hurts. An overriding feature of democracy is the emphasis on numbers. You have the larger number with you and you win. In India, some 55 to 60% of the population earn their livelihood from agriculture. So common sense says if you take a critical view of them, you are in for serious trouble. The same applies if you try to take a balanced outlook about Maradona, who has legions of fans around the world. But this video is more about being rational and less about numbers or garnering likes. First, the many good things about our farmers. First and foremost, they are champions of production. Look at the last 3 years of food grain production. 2017-18, 277 million tons. 2018-19, 285 million tons. And 2019-20, 292 million tons. For all you know, in the current fiscal, it could touch 300 million tons. And this despite drought, floods, climate change, water table dropping, credit squeeze and much more. And our farmers' performance on the export front is equally impressive. India is the 8th largest agri-exporter in the world. And remember, our nation figures at the bottom of most tables, including even in the happiness index, where we figure among the last 10. And thanks to our farmers who have more than filled our godowns with food grains, we haven't missed a single heartbeat with regard to food availability, even as we are into the 9th month of lockdown. And now the less pleasant things. Number one, we cannot have so many people in the farm sector. The US had 60% of its population in farming in 1900, but they have only 2% on farms today. In other words, India in 2020 is where the United States was 120 years ago. 2. The days of scarcity are over. These are days of food grain surplus. To be blunt, we cannot be producing any more. It is becoming a burden. Listen to what the Reserve Bank of India has to say. India has now reached a stage in which surplus food grain management has become a major challenge. I repeat, a major challenge. Jawaharlal Nehru would never have imagined that this day would come so soon, that India's food scarcity problem would be turned on its head into a food surplus problem. Travel back in time and visualize a day in the early 1960s when the then Reserve Bank of India Governor P.C. Bhattacharya walks up to Nehru and says, "Mr. Prime Minister, I have come with a serious problem. We have to ask our farmers to stop production." Well, that day has come now. 3. We cannot afford to put so much money into farm subsidy when we are already overproducing. In this year's budget, in 2021, the provision for fertilizer subsidy was 710 billion rupees. In November, the finance minister added another 650 billion for fertilizer subsidy, for a total of 1.36 trillion rupees for fertilizer subsidy alone. Remember, the federal government is so broke it cannot even devolve the GST compensation to the states and has asked the states to take a loan for the time being. It is in this context that the federal government is trying to wean the farmers away from a diet of subsidies. But the farmers who have been enjoying all these years an assured support price would naturally want that to continue, irrespective of whether the country needs what they produce. Mind you, only a minority of farmers in India are the beneficiaries of the minimum support price, and they seem to thoroughly enjoy that. But consider the plight of the others, like for instance the banana farmers in Kerala today, where banana prices on retail are only 25 rupees a kilogram. Unfortunately, these banana farmers have neither the voice nor the numeric strength so important in democracy to force the federal government to buy all the bananas that they produce. Much like Indian agriculture evolved out of highly fragmented fields of millions of poor peasants, the Argentine football sensation emerged from a poor family in Villa Fiorito, a shanty town in the outskirts of Buenos Aires, Argentina. And just like India's farmers filled our barns and godowns with food grain, Maradona filled opposition nets around the world with goals, 354 of them for club and country in 694 appearances. It was magical while it lasted. One of his goals even considered the goal of the 20th century.
Ahí lo tiene Maradona, lo marcan dos, pisa la pelota Maradona, arranca por la derecha el genio del fútbol mundial, y es el tercero que por la derecha que siempre Maradona, genio,
That goal was so classical that in 2005 the Bank of England governor Mervyn King thought Maradona's dash in almost a straight line could explain the monetary theory. Maradona actually went in a straight line, and the English players, expecting him to verve to the left or right, they actually verved to the left and right, leaving Maradona a straight path. Mervyn King thought that Maradona's straight dash could explain the theory of expectation in modern interest rates. Genius he was on the field, but he seemed to show an inability to live in the real world, getting into drug issues, drinking issues, and numerous personal issues. But popular media would not touch on these issues because Maradona had millions of fans, many of who were subscribers of the media, and they didn't want to offend these subscribers. Numbers matter, you see. So that hand of God goal was glorified. Imagine what kind of message that is given to youth around the world for more than 3 decades. That cheating in an important match at world level is heroism. So in Madrid, Spain this week, when soccer player Paula Depena refused to take part in a minute's mourning for Maradona, she got a death threat. Suddenly, it is dangerous to give an opinion that goes against the majority view these days. But the gritty young soccer player said, "I'm not willing to give a domestic abuser a minute's silence and not the victims." In a world of declining values, numbers matter the most. Even from faraway Canada, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau voiced support for India's farmers. Quite natural because Canada has a large number of Punjabi voters. Remember, Canada has consistently opposed Indian farmers getting subsidies. So whether it's an Amarinder Singh in Punjab or a Narendra Modi in Delhi or a Justin Trudeau in Canada, voter numbers matter. Like Maradona lifted Italian club Napoli from virtually nowhere to the title in the mid-1980s in the Italian Serie A championship, India's farmers have lifted India from a country begging for food to a net food exporting nation. When Maradona arrived in Naples in 1984, a local paper wrote, "We lack a mayor, houses, schools, buses, employment and sanitation, but none of this matters because we have Maradona." When India won independence in 1947, we too could have said, "We lack houses, schools, buses, employment and sanitation, but none of this matters because we have our farmers." And like Maradona, our farmers have also lived up to expectation. But outside of the football field, Maradona looked out of his depth. Similarly, after achieving food self-sufficiency, our farmers' role also appears vague. If we really loved Maradona, somebody would have told him the need for being more responsible to himself, his family, friends, and the larger society. Similarly, if we really love our farmers, we will inform them that the production is already so high that it is near impossible for the government to buy everything that they produce, and at least tell them 2 solutions. 1, fewer of them should be on the farms. Remember, urban Indians are not grooming their children to be farmers. If it was profitable, they would make them farmers. And 2, storage, processing and value addition should be the focus areas for the future because we are already in a food surplus situation. French newspaper L'Equipe wrote about Maradona saying that he was half angel, half devil. India's farmers have been angels thus far. Their second innings should not be like Maradona's. Thank you.